Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Sometimes your guys' mission is to take care of the material evil presence.
Yeah.
Cabal had to
Oh,
do that a
yeah.
couple times. Like,
That's very rare, but yes. I mean, I know what you're saying. Not the situation. The situation's not rare, but that going to having to go to that level is rare. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Cabal just straight up had to take out a false prophet at one point. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah. We
know,
actually played it out. It was the one I think Isaiah was prophesying, and it might not have been Isaiah. It might have been Jeremiah. But somebody was prophesying, and there were false prophets that were trying to give feel good messages, and he's like, "Yeah, no, that's not right." And I believe it was Isaiah. But anyway, and he says, "Well, yeah, but you're going to die." He's like, here's the sign, like you're going to die in like 2 weeks or something like that. But anyway, so I had to go and actually enforce that as a character, and it impacted me, man. It was rough. Like I actually took my character took some time off. So to speak, he just kind of focused on being in God's presence and praising Him and all that kind of stuff, just to really make sure, everything stayed right, because it was impactful for him to have to kill a human. Yeah, that's not something
sure.
common. That's what I meant. That part isn't common, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that doesn't happen often, but not off the table.
It's not
Like
off the table, exactly. And I mean, hey, that's the thing. I mean, he plays a character that is a judge, and a judge sets things right or does things, and so bringing about being an instrument of God's, decrees is part of the role of being that subclass. So that time it just hit an extreme for me. Yeah.
this actually ties really well into the next question. It says, "What limits are there on angels' involvements? Can angels on either side kill humans?" We discussed this. Can angels directly interfere, or can they only give ideas to humans?
Okay, so as far as what limits, the limits really are kind of like your mission parameters.
Yep.
I would say there are in general, we prefer subtle over overt. So generally, you're going to not just appear in your full glory as an angel and try to just "Thus saith the Lord, do this thing." You're not generally going to do that. That's unless you're sent to do that. Dreams are another thing that are unique, and I'll cover that in a second. But otherwise, like, whether you want to just whisper in their ear, which kind of registers to them as a thought, you're speaking to their spirit in the spiritual. You're not manifesting it, and so they register it as a thought that's not your own. I think most of us have ever had that experience where you think something and you don't think you came up with it. So that's kind of what that is in the game. But there's other ways you can do. You can manifest as a person and try to. You're a person along the way there while they're traveling, and they just a chance encounter that or whatever it is, a chance encounter that impacts them with this meaningful conversation. Paul says we've all entertained angels unaware, or that we've likely have. So your creativity is the limit, along with also the mission parameters. So if you're ever going to cross a line and go too far, I generally ask the host, I put that on the host to say, look, what's too far? And the Holy Spirit can be that nudge to say, that may be too far in this case or right now, especially if it's extreme things, as well. Giving a human a dream is kind of a bigger deal in the game. And they can't just freely do that. We have to have, we generally need God's permission to do that as good guys, and bad guys can do that kind of thing with visions and dreams. If it requires the human to kind of not cross the barrier, but approach that barrier in some way, transition that barrier between the spiritual and material. And so in that, there are things that can artificially make humans, and I'm trying to base this off what we understand in real life and also biblical stuff. like on the holy side of things, fasting might be something that could do that, help to thin that barrier. You're strengthening your spirit if you're praying, fasting and praying. If you're praying and weakening your body, you're tied to the natural with the fasting. I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but I mean, that's one thing. But on the other side of things, psychotropic drugs and things like that can definitely, if you'll notice, most pagan things aren't just about, and they may starve themselves or do other things, but they do things that weaken their body, and they do things that affect their mind, free their spirit. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been around somebody on LSD or having a flashback. I have, and multiple times. Not that I did it myself, but in college, you experience people, and just in life, and so. It sometimes seems that they're not just hallucinating; they're actually crossing over a little bit. They're seeing things they wouldn't normally see. But if you look at pagan, if you look at look at most any representation you see of a dream's journey or thing like that they need to do, a vision quest. They do things with these drugs or other things to try and alter their mind. So in the game. Yeah. Those kind of things can help to cross that barrier where evil angels could give a vision or a dream to a human, and that's how they seek to do it. But otherwise, that's something that's not just something handy you just do all the time, I guess is the point.
Yeah, it's not one of those things. Hi, my name is John Doe, and I'm walking down the street. Like, yes, I see a vision. Like, that's not.
Yes,
yeah. Yeah, that was first.
And some people are going to be more open to that than others, more readily able to receive it than others, more in a place where they can receive that. And I can say from my own spiritual discipline, I can do things in my life and have certain practices or lifestyle or things that I'm doing that help me be more in a place to hear what God's saying. It still doesn't force him to speak. I can't conjure him up, but it makes me more receptive. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to what you're saying, like, well, what are the limits angels can and can't do? A pretty good example was that one time there was a mission where essentially there was like a pastor who was kind of in it for the money and was kind of like saying some, like, I guess things that weren't necessarily true. And our mission was to essentially get some of the big people of the church that kind of question and eventually probably basically call him out on his crap. So my character, even though he's a warrior and he was probably the worst discipline to do this, decided to manifest as a person checking out the church. And then basically sat down throughout the entire teaching and then waited for them to okay, does anyone have questions? And then, essentially he asked some questions that essentially were hey, this doesn't seem right. Or if you look here, or just some stuff like that. But afterwards, there were some people that were trying to find him to ask him more questions. And that was outside of the parameters. He wasn't there to give divine knowledge to the members of the church. Right. They were there to get them to a very bare minimum question the guy who was spewing some nonsense, know. And so at
you're
that
this
point,
guy that shows up for one service and then he slipped out after this, or he slipped out and where is he? But he's got us thinking now, Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And I had to get out of there before they started asking me questions.
Right.
So
yes.
And so that's a pretty good practical example of what is a creative solution that's still within the limits and where do things go outside of the limit.
Yeah, exactly.